Let's talk about confidence. Season 2, Episode 11. People who grow with you versus people who hold you back. Welcome to Let's Talk About Confidence. I'm John M. Walsh. Today we're talking about something many people struggle to discuss openly. Outgrowing people. Growth changes you, not in a dramatic or unrecognisable way, but in small, steady shifts where your priorities change, your boundaries might tighten, and your tolerance for dysfunction certainly shrinks. What you used to accept, you no longer do. Who you used to be isn't who you are now. And some people won't like that. Some relationships evolve with you, others anchor you to who you used to be. So this episode is about recognising the difference and having the clarity to act on what you find. When you start growing, setting boundaries, pursuing goals, raising standards, choosing differently, some people will struggle with it. And here's why. If you're moving forward and they're not, your progress becomes a mirror they don't want to look into. It's not personal, but they'll make it feel personal. They might minimise what you're doing. Why are you taking yourself so seriously? They might question your motives. You've changed. They might withdraw, or they might criticise. What they're really saying is, your growth's uncomfortable for me, and I wish you'd stop. If you were the people pleaser, the one who always said yes and the one who overfunctioned, and you stop being that person, they lose something they benefited from. They don't want you to grow. They want you to stay convenient. If you're no longer willing to tolerate one-sided effort, poor communication or even disrespect, they either need to step up or step back. So most people resist change, even when it's healthy. Growth is inherently destabilising. Some people prefer stability over possibility. They'll pressure you to stay the same so they can stay comfortable. Here's the neuroscience beneath this. Your brain uses other people as a social baseline, a reference point for what's normal. This is part of social baseline theory. When someone in your close circle changes, it disrupts that baseline and creates cognitive dissonance. Their discomfort with your growth isn't always about you. It's about their internal reference point being disrupted. And understanding this can help you take their reactions less personally. They're not necessarily trying to hold you back. They're trying to restore their own sense of equilibrium. But that doesn't mean you should stop growing to preserve their comfort. One of the hardest parts of building a confident life is this. You will outgrow people, not because you're better than them, not because they're beneath you, but because your paths diverged. And staying connected would require you to shrink or stop your growth. The guilt sounds like this. We've been friends for years. They've always been there for me. What if I'm being selfish? Maybe I'm the problem. But here's what's true. Loyalty doesn't mean staying in relationships that no longer fit. History doesn't obligate you to a future together. Caring about someone doesn't mean sacrificing your growth to keep them comfortable. Outgrowing someone isn't cruelty. It's evolution. Let me tell you about someone I worked with. Let's call him Marcus. Marcus had been close friends with a group of people since university. For years, the friendships had been central to his life. But as he progressed in his career, set bigger goals and started to change how he spent his time, something shifted. The group started to make comments. You're always busy now. You think you're too good for us. Remember where you came from. Marcus felt torn. These were his oldest friends. They'd history. He cared about them. But he also noticed something every time he spent time with them. He came away feeling smaller. Like he had to dim himself to fit in. Like his ambitions were something to apologise for. That's not friendship, that's a holding pattern. Marcus didn't dramatically end those relationships. He just started investing his energy differently. He became less available for dynamics that required him to shrink. Over time, the friendships naturally faded. Some of the people stepped up and grew with him, but most didn't. How do you know if someone's growing with you or holding you back? They consistently minimise your achievements. When something good happens for you, their response is lukewarm. That's nice. Or they immediately redirect to themselves. Yeah, but listen to what happened to me. or they find a negative angle. Must be nice to have the opportunity. People who grow with you celebrate with you. People who hold you back can't quite let themselves do that. Next one is they respond to your boundaries with punishment. You set a limit on your time, your energy, your availability, and they make you pay for it. The cold shoulder, the guilt trip, the withdrawal of affection until you comply. That's not a relationship. That's a transaction with consequences. Next one is they only want the version of you that serves them. When you're the helper, the listener, the one who makes them feel good, they're engaged. When you have needs of your own, when you're struggling or growing or unavailable, they disappear. Next one's conversations leave you depleted. There's a pattern to your interactions. You give, they take, you listen, they talk. You accommodate, they expect. After time together, you feel drained rather than nourished. Again, that's not a neutral relationship. That's a negative one. The next one is they react to your growth with suspicion or criticism. New job, don't get above yourself. New relationship, let's see how long this one lasts. New boundary, you've changed. People who grow with you are curious about your evolution. People who hold you back treat your growth as a threat. And the final one is you feel like a smaller version of yourself around them. This might be the clearest signal of all. In healthy relationships, you feel expanded, free to be yourself, grown into who you're becoming. In relationships that hold you back, you feel contracted, editing yourself, dimming yourself, confirming to an old version they're more comfortable with. Pay attention to how you feel after you've spent time with someone. The body knows what the mind sometimes takes longer to admit. Now let's talk about the other kind of relationship, the people who evolve alongside you. A couple of things you'll notice about them. Number one is they're genuinely interested in your growth. They ask questions. They remember what you told them last time. They follow up. Your progress matters to them, not because it benefits them, but because they care about you. They hold you to standards. When you slip, when you settle, when you play small, when you don't honour your commitments, they notice it. And they say something, not critically but caringly. That doesn't sound like what you said you wanted. What's going on? That's not pressure, that's support. They're honest even when it's uncomfortable. People who grow with you will tell you what you need to hear, not just what you want to hear. They'll challenge you when you're making excuses. They'll point out patterns you can't see. They trust the relationship enough to be direct with you. And they celebrate without comparison. Your success doesn't trigger their insecurity. Your growth doesn't make them question themselves. They can be genuinely happy for you because their sense of self isn't dependent on you staying small. And they adapt as you change. They don't cling to who you used to be. They're curious about who you're becoming. When you evolve, they lean in rather than push back. And being with them makes you more yourself, not less. This is a simple test. After spending time with them, do you feel expanded or contracted? Energised or depleted? More confident or less confident? The people who grow with you leave you feeling more like yourself. That's what growth-compatible relationships do. So once you've identified which relationships grow with you and which hold you back, what do you actually do? Well, for the relationships you want to preserve, have the conversation. Name what you're experiencing. I've noticed that when I share good news, the response feels, dismissive, and that's been bothering me. Or maybe something like, I'm growing in some new directions and I want you to be part of that. But I need to feel supported, not questioned. Some people will hear this and adapt. They didn't realise how their behaviour was landing. They care about you enough to change. But some people will hear this, become defensive. That's great data. For relationships you're ready to release, you don't always need a dramatic ending. Most relationships that need to end don't need a confrontation. They just need reduced investment. Stop initiating as often, decline invitations that don't deserve you. Let the relationships find its natural level, which might be less than it is now. And this isn't about ghosting, it's a gradual recalibration. You're not disappearing. You're becoming less available for dynamics that cost more than they're worth. For the relationships you're uncertain about, give it time. Growth destabilises relationships temporarily. Sometimes people need a period of adjustment before they can meet where you are now. Be patient, but be observant. If the pattern persists over months rather than weeks, that's no longer adjustment. That's the relationship showing you what it is. Let me offer a principle that might help. Invest in relationships that feel reciprocal. Where effort goes both ways, where growth is celebrated mutually, where you feel supported, not managed. You don't need hundreds of these relationships, you need a few. And those few are worth protecting, worth prioritising over the many that take more than they give. I want to acknowledge something though. Letting go of relationships that no longer fit, even when it's the right thing, it can involve genuine grief. You're not just losing the person, you're losing the version of yourself that existed in that relationship. The memories, the shared history, the sense of who you were together. That's allowed to hurt. Growth isn't always triumphant. Sometimes it's quiet and sad. Sometimes it means closing doors you wish could stay open. But here's what's also true. On the other side of that grief is space. Space for relationships that match who you're becoming. Space for people who grow with you instead of holding you back. Space to become more of yourself, not less. The people you outgrow aren't failures. They were right for a particular chapter of your life. Chapters end, and that is not betrayal. It's life evolving. And the people who stay, who evolve alongside you, who meet your growth with their own, those relationships become deeper, not weaker. They're tested by change and they hold. Those are the relationships worth investing in. Those are the people who grow with you. Here's what I'd like you to take from today. You'll outgrow some people. That's not arrogance. That's what happens when you grow. The question isn't whether your relationship will change. The question is whether you'll let the change serve your growth or whether you'll shrink to keep everyone comfortable. Look honestly at the relationships in your life. Who grows with you? Who holds you back? Who celebrates your evolution? Who resists it? You already know the answers. The question is whether you're ready to act on what you know. Some relationships are for a season. Let them be what they were. And invest your energy where it's matched, where growth is mutual, support is real, and you're allowed to become who you're becoming. That's not selfish. That's how confident lives are built. I'm John M. Walsh. This is Let's Talk About Confidence, and I'll see you next time.